Hello everyone, this is Hero. Welcome to another Demon Souls series. This is a continuation, basically, of the old one. This is the same character, just Soul level 6, this time in New Game Plus 2. And this time around we're going to be doing almost exactly the same challenge, but with one key variable, and that variable is that I will only be using melee. Now there's a big fat asterisk next to that only melee thing, because I will be using some thrown items like throwing knives, the secret throwing daggers, fire bombs, and soul remains. So it's not exclusively melee per se, but I will be killing every enemy with melee. So yeah, because the reason that I'm doing this basically doing the entire challenge run again is that in my old run I stuck to the lava bow a whole lot. The lava bow, Morion blade, clever rat's ring combo that gave you 140% extra damage without any of the consequences of actually having to be up in the enemy's face, because especially with the thief's ring, that meant that I could just basically stay way back and kill things before they even knew I was there. And at that point it was basically like, well, why are you even calling this a challenge? Because frankly, apart from the bosses, the levels weren't a challenge. And throughout the old run, I frequently voiced my concerns that, even though I was doing the challenge and it was all done and everything, and I was fairly happy with it, and some parts of it were very hard, I found that I made excuses for taking the easy way out, basically, and using the lava bow for stages that I found difficult, in quotes, because I did find them difficult, and the lava bow was just the easy way out. It was easily available. I didn't restrict myself in the beginning, so I thought, hey, why not? Let's use it. But if you paid attention to the actual gameplay of the last challenge run, then towards the end you'll see that every time I went up against a slightly iffy situation, you'll find I used the lava bow a whole lot. And I know that's not strictly terrible, because it was still a fairly decent challenge. I had to do all the bosses without taking any damage, and that was something that I really had to learn for that run, because some of these bosses I just couldn't do without taking damage from the start, and that was a really, really good learning experience. And so once I'd finished that, and once I'd realized that, oh well, I've just been using the bow for fucking everything, so why bother? This is a good revitalization of the game for me, because when I went back, I didn't feel like I was doing the same challenge over again. I mean, I had strategies for the bosses and everything, but that was perfectly fine, because I actually enjoy most of the bosses in this game, and it was fun learning how to, just handle them more competently. And it was actually a really fun journey learning how to take on the actual levels in the game without using anything ranged that could deal some decent damage, because I did use things like throwing knives, as I said, soul remains, that kind of a thing. But the reason I allowed myself to use those, even though I set out and went, okay, I'm going to do a pure melee run essentially, is that they don't deal enough damage to significantly, impact how much, like, your progression in the level. All they're used for is to attract aggro. So, speaking of attracting aggro, I had a bit of trouble with that one, and I figured I'd try out the Storm Ruler, and it was really, 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 really effective. You might remember, if you watched my first challenge run, where I took on Meralda and I parried her 4 times in a row, and I think that certainly might have been a little bit more of a display of skill, but you can't really argue with the results, the completely unintentional results as well, because the Storm Ruler is a bit funny, because if you don't know, the Storm Ruler will actually knock down any humanoid enemies and NPC, Black Phantoms, that kind of a thing, with all of its horizontal strikes. Every single one of them, it'll just send them flying. And it seems to be that the the normal enemies like these dredgelings and like the soldiers and stuff, they only get knocked a short distance, but human enemies like NPCs, and I'm assuming other players as well, because I've seen some PvP videos with people trolling with the Storm Ruler, is that they just hit them and they flew backwards, and predicting where the enemy was going to actually fly backwards is a bit strange, because when I actually made that kill, this was the first time really making use of the Storm Killer, sorry, Storm Killer, that sounds cool, the Storm Ruler, and it just sent her absolutely flying. I meant to just do the old, smack them with the Storm Ruler and then run over and attack them with the Dragon Greatsword, Dragon Longsword while they're on the ground, because you can do that kind of a thing, because enemies are, in this game, completely vulnerable when they've been knocked to the ground. You can just run over and slash at them all you like and do 2,000 points of damage if you want to, and just because you managed to hit them with a sword that's too long for them to get into your range without you hitting them with it, So I'm sorry if that seemed a bit cheesy to anyone, but I love the Storm Ruler a little bit now. And alright, now I think here coming up is a bit where I think I cycled through a few of my throwable items, and I see this crossbow guy, because I am crossbow guy phobic. I don't like them. They always manage to kill me, no matter, like, I think I'm standing out of their range, but then all of a sudden I get hit by a crossbow bolt and I die. Their rounds go through other enemies and can hit you through them, like especially on the dragon bridge in this level, actually, because I think there are 3 or 4 crossbow guys on there, and a whole fuck ton of the regular spear and longsword guys. And if the crossbow guys see you, and they will see you because they're crossbow guys and they can see everything because they've got the eyes of hawks, and if they see you, they just shoot, and their bolts go through the enemies, and they also curve towards you because it's such a long distance, and it doesn't feel very fair, to be short. So what I thought I would do here is just smack him with hit him with a few secret throwing daggers, and try and get it to come over here. But then the realization hit me that I'm an idiot, because it's a crossbow guy. If they get hit by something, they don't run towards you like a normal enemy would. So I figured the best course of action would just be to get out the old heater shield and the Crescent S-Stock +5, and just do the turtle poke, the little bitch poke that you can do, that you can attack while blocking. So it's useful for closing the distance on crossbow guys and the like. That's not, however, very useful closing the distance and getting rid of spear guys. Now, I thought crossbow guys were bad, but in my previous playthrough I never actually had to get close to them, and in this playthrough I realized why I hated them so much. And look at this bit. I got up and there's one of those flame hollows there, and I blocked a hit, and because he's using a flame weapon and because this is a no damage run, pure melee, I got damaged, and this is just me like running away a little bit defeated, going, I'm gonna have to restart. So I had to kill myself, and you can see my sad little blood stain there, and I don't even think I picked it up. So what I decided was necessary to do here was use a Soul Remains to get his aggro towards the wall, and then I went in to try and get a backstab, but it didn't work. But the Crescent S-Stock killed him anyway. So, getting back to the spear guys, I would very much like to have a chat with the person that designed when they are and when they aren't invincible, practically, when they're attacking with their spear, because I get the classic turtle poke, the old they hold their shield up right in front of them. I'm doing the hand gestures myself, of course you can't see them, but when they hold their shield right up in front of them, and they sort of do that single poke like you see in Dark Souls, how you can do yourself. You hold your shield up and you just do a single poke, and I get how, he snuck up on me, and I can get how, that would be you shielding and attacking at the same time. But they have a running attack, which, curiously, if you hit them while they're doing the running attack, they seem to be shielded, and because they're using a spear and they've got a wide swing with it, because it's also got a horizontal attack for them when they do the running attack, you get caught and you die many, many times if you're like me. And there is one particularly annoying spear guy that happens in 1.3, which you'll see very near the end of this challenge, and I do not like that spear guy because he killed me many, 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 many times. 1.3, apart from the Valley of Defilement, is probably the level that took me the longest in this melee only challenge, because there's just so much dickishness going on in there. And I mean, From couldn't have known that, you know, people would want to do this kind of thing with their game, but even so, it felt kind of excessive, especially the actually something that surprised me was that the thing I was really dreading, the Fat Minister, you know, Black Phantom spawn trap that they had. You know, that bit in 1.3. If you've played on Pure Black World Tendency, you'll probably know what I mean, because it was probably quite a surprise the first time you ran into it. This is that bit where you have to run through this really narrow corridor, and right in front of you, a Black Phantom Fat Minister spawns in and laughs at you and tries to shoot flames at you. So you go, oh shit, and turn around and run the other way. But little do you know, if you didn't see the red particles like dusting behind you, that another Black Phantom Fat Minister spawned right behind you. So you're boxed in with these things that do obscene amounts of damage and have obscene amounts of life, and frankly obscene amounts of resistance as well, because they take about, I think, 60% the normal damage that a normal Fat Minister would take. So it can feel even more unfair, because, you know, not only have you been boxed in with things that have these awful hyper armor attacks, but you've also been boxed in with these things that you can't escape from anymore, because they're super strong, they have super life, and that's pretty much the end of that. And that bit wasn't too bad to deal with. It just wasn't too bad, because I kind of hyped it up in my own brain, going, oh shit, this bit's going to be hard. And then, you know, these silly things like crossbow guys and spear guys. That one spear guy that you think you can just kill, but who instead kicks your shield, breaks your guard, and stabs you. Or, you know, you attack them with your two-handed weapon, thinking that, you know, your weapon doesn't rebound off shields if you're two-handing, but it does off them for some reason. Not all the time, mind you. For some reason, only some of the time, you will rebound, and then while you're rebounding, even if you're doing a bitch poke, you know, with the shield, and you're going, oh, nothing can hurt me because I'm shielding at the same time as I'm attacking, and, you know, as long as I do this, I shouldn't be able to take any damage at all. Not true. They will just, because there's like this little flinch animation, and apparently during that flinch animation, you count as not being shielded one bit, so they can just stab you and kill you. So that's literally the story of how I got really, really frustrated with 1.3 because of fucking spear guys. And I've learned with spear guys that the only way to take them out really, really safely, much like some of these enemies, like the torch-wielding dredgelings, is to throw a soul remains or get on a lower plane than them and just try and outrange them or distract them with the soul remains, because otherwise you're going to have a hard time. See, what I just did there is I've thrown a soul remains, and look, they're going crazy for it, and which is good, because now I can isolate every one of them individually and attack. And I know that, like, when I was doing this, I was thinking, isn't this also a little bit cheap, you know? But then after I died 5 or 6 times on, you know, some of these encounters, even while using some of the soul remains, I realized that no, it's not cheap. This is actually, you know, infinitely more dangerous than how I was doing the playthrough in the last challenge, because I don't have my bow anymore. I don't have a means to engage them harmlessly, because these soul remains, they only last about 5 to 10 seconds each. And even though they may be initially distracted, if they have a lot of life, if they're a Black Phantom enemy, or if they're just a really tanky enemy, then one backstab that you get from them, off them on being able to, if they were distracted by the soul remains, may not be enough to actually kill them. So this method of engaging, even with the soul remains, it's not the ultimate cheese fest that I thought it might be, because when I thought, oh well, I know soul remains distract things like the alluring skulls in Dark Souls distract things, but this was actually, it was a lot less simple than I thought it would be. But also at the same time, I'm not going to hand this up and say, oh, this was really, really difficult, because these soul remains made these encounters easier for me, and I've learned that even doing no damage base level on New Game Plus 2 with only melee and some limited thrown weapons, the ultimate challenge, I think, would be no shield, no thrown items at all, and no thief's ring, melee only. I think that would be the ultimate challenge, and I wouldn't even want to fathom the realms of madness that I would go to if I tried to do that. So you're getting this instead, and bloody lucky that you are. And before anybody says anything about that, I am very, very, very much joking. So coming up here, we're going to, there's two crossbow guys just up here, and I was looking up right now. Yep, there he is, and I've got my shield up because I'm a bit wary, because these guys, they can be dicks. They can hit you when you don't even think that they can see you. So and then I've gone, oh crap, okay, there's a crossbow guy up there, and he's just tried to fire something at me, but luckily the weird geometry has managed to stop his arrow from moving. So I guess thank you FromSoft for making some vague geometry that stops not only my arrows but their arrows as well. And what I've decided to do here is just grab a soul remains, throw it, try and get the quick backstab on the Blue Eyes Knight, because otherwise I think he's a big trouble. And that's actually not true, because in World 1-2, then the Tower Knight Archstone, I had this really epic climactic battle with the Black Phantom Blue Eyes Knights, and I hadn't actually realized that they are possibly the single easiest enemy in this game to backstab. Because I was like, I had my shield up, and I was poking, and every time they took an attack, I'd just poke a couple times, get a couple hundred points of damage in, and then because I'd have no stamina, they'd attack me, and my guard would break, and I'd have to roll out just in time before they took another swipe, or they took another stab, and I'd roll away, and then roll back in, and take another swift poke, and then do that thing where you take another bitch poke and rebound off their shield a little bit, and you shit your pants a little bit, because you learned recently that with these spear guys, by the way, you learned recently that you can't just attack their shield willy-nilly, because you'll rebound and then they'll just punish you for it. And it was just this amazing moment during that encounter where I realized that these knights are possibly the easiest enemy in this game to backstab ever, because they have really their animations are really heavy-handed, and it feels like they have a ton of recovery on some of their attacks. Like while you're fighting them, it feels like they don't, because pretty much as soon as you attack them, they tend to cancel out of whatever animation they're doing to block and then start their own attack. But if you just leave them be, or if you just block one of their strikes, then you can just circle right back around and get a backstab. And it was one of those things where, despite having 60 odd hours on that character at that moment, and almost 20 on another, and 5 on another one, that it's one of those things that if you were taking on this kind of a challenge, you'd expect yourself to know these basic things, like how to backstab certain enemies, just that kind of thing. It feels like one of those basic things that you can do for yourself, that if it were anyone else who'd spent any more amount of time with Demon Souls, just playing the game normally, as opposed to subjecting themselves to constant fear of always being punished, that you could have just realized that hey, you just wait for them to whiff their attack and then circle around the back. And I spent my entire trip up up 1-2's dragon bridge, just going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, because I knew there were going to be 3 Blue Eyes Knights up there, and I'm going to have limited space to attack, and we're also going to have crossbow guys shooting at us, and it's a bit of a hyperventilation bit there. Not really. I don't really get that nervous when I play games. When I was fighting, I think when I was fighting Leechmonger, because Leechmonger I had trouble with because I didn't really understand the boss at all. So every time I'd get him real close down to what's he called? Every time I got him close down to dying, my hands would actually start to shake a little bit because of the adrenaline. Because holy shit, I'm about to finish 5-1, and then I get slapped in the face with a tentacle arm of leeches, and that was all over. So, but yeah, it was just this curious thing where if I'd understood the game, if I just spent more time with it without doing these things, then I would have known exactly what to do, and it wouldn't have been a shit your pants moment at all. And back there you might have seen that I actually managed to get the dragon to kill almost every enemy on the bridge except for two crossbow guys, and what I did with that was I waited for him to do the first flame pass, and then I went out and threw a few soul remains until the spear guys that were waiting in front of the crossbow guys, like my two most hated enemy types in the game, just sort of camping out together at the end of the bridge going, "You're not getting here, motherfucker." But managed to throw a soul remains, and like the crossbow guys, if they'd gotten attracted by it, I couldn't really see because we were too far away, but if they'd saw it, they probably would have just shot at it. And the spear guys, though, they would have walked up to it, and it was lucky enough that when they walked up to it and the dragon came back around again, it breathed fire and it killed the 2 spear guys. So all I had to do was run up the bridge and attack the crossbow guys with the S-stock behind the shield, which is I love the S-stock. It's a Crescent S-stock plus 5, so it does some really decent magic damage, and it has fantastic reach, and it can also do the behind the shield poke, which was extremely useful in this playthrough, though its use is pretty much restricted to Boletarian Palace, this part, just because a lot of the enemies here sort of beckon the use of it because they have some strange invulnerability, as I mentioned, with the spear guys. So what you're seeing at the moment is my first match against Phalanx, trying to figure out what the hell soul remains do to the normal enemies that are inside this boss fight, and it sort of seems like they attract them a little bit, but not really. And I'm trying to figure out how can I approach this, because every time in the past when I've gotten close, the Phalanx guys have used their own pokes and managed to just basically one-shot kill me, or they'd hit me with ranged, or like that, they'd just shoot a ranged attack through the other enemies and manage to kill me. So this boss fight, this very first boss fight of the game, and by the way, this section is on New Game Plus 3 because I actually did this last. This came after I killed Allant, which you'll see later in this series, because I'd already killed Phalanx and killed Satsuki earlier in order to account for some lost footage in my old one, like in my other run, because I'd already done what's it called? I wanted to kill Satsuki because I lost the footage of him, so I had to do Boletarian Palace first because you can't go to Shrine of Storms without killing Satsuki. And yeah, so this is on New Game Plus 3. It's been a little bit of clever editing, but that's about it, and don't really get any extra souls, and this is just how it's gone. So this is my, I'm still thinking for some reason the soul remains are actually doing something, they're attracting some enemies, and it sort of seems like they are, just a little bit, but I don't know, they're just sort of facing away, and Phalanx is running away because he doesn't have enough of his shield buddies on him, and I figured out that I can actually just two-hand the S-stock, and because the S-stock is really powerful, see it does 514 damage just on a single poke, I can actually just run in, and because it has such reach, its strikes actually manage to kill perhaps 1, 2, or I think I even got 5 at once of these of the phalanx, like the shield enemies at once. So all I effectively have to do is see. I'm still tossing the soul remains. They're not doing anything here. Don't worry. So I'm just doing is running in. See, like I killed like 4 at once then in that one strike. So I'm just waiting for phalanx to just show an opening, but at the same time I'm extremely wary, because these enemies rather have a real tendency to, like I said before, to just shoot you out of nowhere and shoot you through each other, which is a bit cheesy, but you know, that's Dark Souls, that's Demon Souls, that's everything Souls. It's just sometimes it's not fair. They can shoot you through each other, you have to get used to it. This was an interesting learning experience because, like I said in my last run, I didn't have to do this, you know, melee only, so I had to learn, just like Leechmonger, I had to learn how to take on this boss. Even though it's the very first one, this one took me about, let's say it took me about 3, 4, this was my 3rd attempt. And so yeah, phalanx took me 3 tries. Laugh if you want, but there we go. I revived and get 1445 souls from the regular dudes, and I think I got 10,478 souls from killing phalanx, and that was probably one of the harder boss fights this game. Here's me just checking the stats, and incidentally, I do apologize if you can hear at all any of the sounds around in my environment. You might be able to, if you're wearing really good earphones or headphones, hear my laptop going, but unfortunately I can't change how loud it is. And you might be able to hear my external hard drive going as well. You may be able to hear my chair. What I'm most concerned about is the fact that it was 26 degrees Celsius yesterday. I'm not quite sure how much that is in Fahrenheit, but it was, you know, it was quite warm. Not as warm as it can get, because it's only approaching summer here. It's the middle of spring, I think, and it's 13 degrees today. So it's about a 15 or 13 degree shift, and sorry, 12 degrees actually. Do math, and it was hailing before. Hailing like ice falling from the sky, which was something we didn't even really get in winter, so, you know, you definitely know you're living in Melbourne when that happens. But yeah, back to the game, because, okay, so this has been Boletarian Palace, this has been, you know, just 1-1, and the reason, like, when I probably explained in other videos that, you know, I wanted to do it again, and also put it on the channel, that it might have seemed a bit strange, because, you know, isn't this basically just playing the same game that you just uploaded and you just put all your commentary on and, you know, we've just been watching? Yes, but the way that I have to approach the game like this again now is different enough that I actually feel I need to be able to, I actually feel that this is different enough to make an entirely new series about, because this is a run that I'm actually quite proud of. So, you know, this is, yes, it's another Demon Souls run, but I think it's a Demon Souls run that'll be interesting to watch, because I'm actually kind of proud of it. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.